friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley if you're new here, and in this video I'm super excited to be sharing my March homeschool update. We have one huge, I don't want to say change because we didn't take anything away, but we added in, which is obviously on the thumbnail. We started Sonlight, which I am so excited to talk about, but I'm going to wait until we get into the video a little bit to share about that. If I sound a little bit out of breath, I apologize in advance. I am 34 weeks pregnant right now and I am feeling it. So I guess I will start you off with my first grader because I feel like I have probably the most to update you on with him. So I guess we can start out with talking about language arts because I feel like I always tend to talk about language arts first. This month we did a mixture of The Good and the Beautiful and All About Reading, heavily leaning toward The Good and the Beautiful. We are getting closer to being done with the second unit. We are almost definitely not going to finish the whole curriculum by the end of the year, which I'm fine with because it can give us some review over the summer, or we could just start it at the beginning of second grade. I feel like I finally have figured out how to add the two together though, and it's really working for us right now, and I'm super excited about it because basically what I do with him is I have him practice reading with me first. So I either use the booster cards from The Good and the Beautiful, which I don't use the way that they kind of tell you to use them. It usually tells you to have them read the page, practice the page over and over and over until they master it, and then they can put a sticker at the bottom. But I actually have found that that's how we used it last year in kindergarten, and I actually have found that I'm putting too much weight in the curriculum to kind of tell me that he has mastered this, where he's mastered it for that time. But if you don't continually go back and review it, it doesn't stay mastered, especially for something like reading. So what I kind of do is I kind of gauge where he's at with it. Like, I don't make it a whole thing where it's like he has to read every single word perfectly before we can move on to the next topic. I just kind of, or the next, like phonogram that they're learning or whatever you want to call it. I just move on when I feel he's ready, and then I go back to the cards that I feel like he needs more practice with, and it's not exactly in the same way that they tell me to do it. So anyway, we practice reading with the booster cards. I use the flashcards from All About Reading. So we do a little bit of both, probably like 5-ish minutes of both or so. And then we will occasionally read a story out of All About Reading too, but those are just like maybe once or twice a week we'll do that. I sometimes will save those for later on in the day as well, where he can read them before bed or something. And then that's kind of like, I make sure he gets at least 15 minutes of just solid reading practice. And then when he goes into his lesson time, we have been testing out trying to do it right after his reading, and that's gone well this week. We've only done it a few times though, so I think sometimes he might need a break after the reading because it is right after breakfast that I'm doing this as well, and because I feel like that's the time his brain is most sharp and he's able to focus the best. And my younger two are a bit more preoccupied at that point in time as well, where they're distracting him a bit less. And then when we move on to the lesson part though, what we'll do is I occasionally will pull a part of All About Reading, not every single day, but I've done it a few times this week so far. And basically what I'll do is I'll either pull one activity out of it and I'll practice that with him if I think that that would be a good thing for him to practice, or I will do just the part where they pull down the letter tiles and practice just the letter tiles. Or I guess that's kind of the two parts in the book because we've already done the flashcards. And so we do that. It usually takes like 5 minutes or so, nothing crazy, sometimes maybe even a little bit less depending. And then we will move on to the Good and the Beautiful workbook. And so at that point, their workbooks are pretty simple. It's not too overwhelming for him at this stage. And so we will try to get through that. If he needs a break when he gets to the independent practice, then I give him a break. I tell him he's, allowed to take a break at any point if he feels overwhelmed. And so basically that's how I'm adding the two together. I did do a second video on All About Reading and The Good and the Beautiful, so I'll link that also if you are interested in this topic a bit more. But that really worked this month, and it went really well, and I feel like I finally at the end of the year figured out what I want to do. I'll probably continue that into next year, and I'm really debating on now if I want to buy All About Reading Level 3, which I didn't think I was going to do, but I think maybe now I will, because I really like this way of adding them together, and I have 3 other kids under him who I feel like The Good and the Beautiful is a really good curriculum, but I think some kids just need extra practice, and even if they don't need it, like I don't know that Shane has to do it this way, I just think it's beneficial. And so if I'm going to use it with all of the kids, and then why not? So that's our language arts update. And then Math with Confidence is also going well. I'm super excited. We are only 4 weeks away from finishing, which I'm so happy about, because I've been really trying to get our schoolwork done by May, because I'm due in the middle of May. So I'm not sure if I'm going to want to do school the last 2 weeks before I'm due. I might do it just to keep myself busy, but at least if the curriculum's kind of like at a stopping point, or I've finished it, then I can just do lots of review with him and keep myself busy, but not feel pressure to like have to finish anything, if that makes sense. But anyway, Math with Confidence is going well. I did have a bit of a concern this month, I will say though, because we got to unit, I couldn't tell you which unit it was actually. It was like 2 or 3 away from the end of the book, I think. It was right before we move on to addition facts in the teens. And so at this point they said that your student should have your addition and subtraction facts up to 10 memorized. And my son was probably like somewhere between 80 and 90% good with those. And then I had this dilemma of, do I wait until he is fully mastered with those before I move on? Like, I don't really want to stop right now though, because like I said, I really wanted to finish by May so that I don't have to worry about, like, I don't know, it would feel weird to take like a month-long break, say, after I had the baby, and then pick back up and only have 3 weeks left of the program or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that just didn't make sense to me. So after a little bit of stress on my end, I decided to just keep going, to being like, you know what, I can still practice those addition and subtraction facts in the summer, like, just because we're moving on. I was a little bit scared that maybe it would be too advanced because he didn't fully have those other ones mastered, but it actually ended up being totally fine. They didn't hinder him in any way, which is, like I said, is my fear. And he did really well. He's been doing really well with the addition facts in the teens and then subtraction. He's not mastering them, of course, just yet, but it even says in the curriculum that in 1st grade, they don't expect them to master these facts yet. They're going to do more review in 2nd grade. And so my plan is, especially since we're stopping so early in like the very beginning of May, I'm going to continue playing all of the games that practices all of these topics over the summer. And so I feel like that will keep him sharp. Hopefully it will even get him to the place of mastery. And then, yeah, so really good update on math. I'm really pleased with the progress. And then I guess we can move on over to my 2nd son, who is in preschool. We did finish the Gather Round 2nd unit, and we technically did start the 3rd unit, which was in the jungle. I don't think I would have started in the jungle if I hadn't done that with my older son first, because part of it was like nostalgic, but also like, and I had been talking to them about in the jungle for a while, and so both my sons wanted to do it again. But as we're getting into it, I think we did the 1st week this week. As we're getting into it, I do like it still. It's funny that like, I wouldn't say like Gather Round is my favorite like thing ever, but I really do like their preschool program. I feel like I don't say that enough. Like, we have used it now with 2 of my boys, and it's I kind of wish that they had games like The Good and the Beautiful did a little bit more, and so there was a bit more review. But if you have other things to add in, or you're going to review with your child anyway, I think it's a really good curriculum. It's engaging because like they do a lot of different things. So although I will say my younger son does not care for the little Bible studies. I'm not really sure why, because he doesn't complain about the devotional that we have or reading our Bible in the morning. It's just the gather round one. He'll tell me occasionally, like, I don't really like reading this one, so I'm not sure. But it's very simple and short and sweet. So anyway, I will say Riley's probably about 75% of the way there when it comes to mastering his letter sounds, 75 to 80%. And we have the rest of this month to practice and continue. And then again, I'm going to try to have him practice over the summer as well. So I'm hoping by the time kindergarten starts, he'll basically be ready to, you know, really jump into reading. He's doing really well. Like I say in all of these updates, I'm really proud of him. He really always has like a very good attitude toward doing school, and that's always really fun. I did say in my last update, I think that we are going to be using the Good and the Beautiful Preschool, which we did do this month. And I plan to finish that by the end of the year as well. I kind of am just picking and choosing from Gather Round which pages I want to do with him, and then I'm gonna focus pretty heavily on the Good and the Beautiful Preschool. We also have been playing a lot of the games from the Good and the Beautiful Preschool, which I think are just like brilliant. They're so smart, and it's really helping a lot. So I would highly suggest just buying the games from the Good and the Beautiful Preschool if you are feeling like you are struggling with your preschooler and you want something fun that you can add in that can help them practice their letter sounds. They're really good. They're really fun too, and they love it because they're just playing games. So that brings me to our exciting update of starting Sonlight K. So the History Bible Literature K, I should specify. We started it 3 weeks ago and we are all really enjoying it. I was slightly concerned with adding another thing in, but the reason that I chose now to do it is because Sonlight has 36 weeks, which is quite overwhelming for me because I feel like coming from the Good and the Beautiful last year, that's kind of all we used last year. It was 30 weeks, so 6 weeks is quite a bit more time to add on. And I always felt with the Good and the Beautiful, which I genuinely really like, is that you don't have to like stress so much basically about, like, you can take days off, you can be in a much more relaxed place, which I feel like is a really good thing when it comes to school. But so basically that's kind of why I started Sonlight, partly because I wanted to get ahead on it, where I didn't want to start in August or September when we start school up again, because then I would feel like I'm always behind. We're never going to finish. And I really hate feeling like that because I can't really enjoy teaching my children or just enjoy the curriculum, especially something like reading to my kids. Also, I felt like it was the right time to add it in because, like, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I've been reading through, don't mind my dog right there, reading through the Sonlight P and T program, and we just really did not do that consistently this year. And I felt like my kids were definitely ready for this level, or I should say my younger one. Obviously my older one is for sure ready. And I almost regret not doing it sooner now that we started, to be honest with you, because the read alouds are really like very much at level with my younger son. I was worried that it would be too advanced. And honestly, I'm really more so worried the next level. I've heard the American history can be a little bit hard for younger kids. And so I was really trying to hold them back in a sense of, like, mostly my younger son, where I didn't want to introduce topics that were too difficult for him to understand. And so, but these books are perfect. They're like right on level with where both of them are. I'd say a little bit below my first grader, but I have them over here. That's why I keep pointing over here. I want to tell you a little bit about which ones are our favorite so far and that sort of thing. But basically how I plan to do Sonlight is just not stick super strictly to the schedule. Just kind of read when we can read. If we get ahead in some areas, great. If we get behind in some areas, that's okay too. And, you know, try to keep them relatively in the same area, because when we finish, then we can move on to the next level. But when it comes to the read alouds, at least I'm okay with reading ahead quite a bit because we're really enjoying it. Like, having something specific to pick up and read that we all really like to read is so encouraging, because it's like a lot of the time my daughter will go down for a nap and then I'll be pretty tired. And so I'm like ready to relax myself and send my boys into quiet time, but then they're like begging me, can we read can we read our Sonlight books? Can we read the book? And I'm like, yeah, like, let's do it. If you're excited, I'm excited. Like, this is the whole point of homeschooling. This is the fun part. And so it's totally working for us. Long story short, I'm gonna, you know, if we get ahead with the read alouds, then I can keep going with the history and add in some, there's some like sequels to some of these stories that we've read, or completely other books. Obviously there's like countless books that I could read with them. So I'm gonna start you on what we really enjoy, the Bible this year. This is, I'd say, much more advanced than the one that we had from the level P program. I mean, maybe much is a bit too extreme, but it has a lot more text. So basically what you'll do is you'll read about 2 stories. So that would be this, and then actually this one might be 3, because it's usually about like 3 pages like that. And so it is quite a bit more, where the other program was like maybe just like 1 page here and then a few questions. Sorry, I don't know if that just knocked out the focus. Hopefully that was okay. But this, I'm super enjoying this, because I feel like up until this point, we really have only done like reading stories of the Bible. Like, it didn't really feel like we were reading through the Bible, if that makes sense. And this feels like I'm reading through the Bible with my boys. Which is really fun. And I feel like it's a little bit over my 4-year-old's head slightly, but like, I'm not concerned about that, because at least if he's picking up something from reading the Bible, which I would trust that he is, it's okay if he's not picking up everything. There are some questions in the back about that you can ask them to make sure that they're understanding. So yes, that's the Bible that you do with the program, and I highly recommend it. I really like it. And then I want to just show you the books that we've read so far. We have nearly made it through 3 books. The first read aloud was called Dolphin Adventure. This is a very quick read. It's like 8 or 9 chapters, but like, it's just like one story about a diver who helps a dolphin, and it's a really cool story. My boys really enjoyed it. And then the next one was Heartwood Hotel, which, if you've been following me for a while, please leave a comment below if you remember when we read through this in preschool. I would be so impressed if you remember that. But we actually tried, sometimes I don't know if they do it all the time, but for Sonlight you can try it for free, and they let you read this book from the kindergarten level. And we read it when my oldest son was in preschool, and I loved this book, and they really enjoyed it too. I think this year we just finished it, so I highly recommend this if you are just looking for a read aloud. And then this is actually from the history part of it. We're nearly done with this one, but the Missing Mummy, because we're learning about ancient Egypt. This is really cute, and my boys really enjoy this as well. So we always have, like, at this point we were reading through these 2 books together, because this is from the history part and this is from the read aloud section of the literature, and they're like, which one should we read first? And then they had to like debate over which one they wanted to read at the time. And so it was really fun. So that's the big update on history. We're finally diving deeper into history, and I'm so very excited to start Sonlight. I've been waiting for this. I've literally made videos about Sonlight since my oldest son was in preschool. So I couldn't wait to get to this point, and it's been really fun. So, and then for science, I don't really have much of an update for science. We are not really getting too many places with science. We did do one of the Sonlight science experiments that we're behind on, so that's good. I'm hoping to like slowly make some progress with that, but not a huge update on that. And then basically I could just share I like to share a little pregnancy update at the end here for those of you who are still around and care to watch. I am, like I said, 34 weeks pregnant, which like honestly does not feel real. I am counting down the weeks, because if you have been pregnant, then you know this is the point where you get really uncomfortable, but I am trying to keep a positive attitude through it as much as possible. My husband and I didn't know if we were going to have a 4th. I've always wanted 4 kids, and he was pretty content at 3, and so this baby feels very much like a gift, like straight from God, because we prayed about it for a long time. And yeah, I don't know, it's just impacted the pregnancy in a different way, where I didn't know if this would happen, and so because it did, I feel very, very thankful for it, and I've been trying to really keep that in mind. But anyway, I feel like the past few weeks I'm starting to get to that point where the hormones kind of start to like take over again, like kind of like in the beginning, where I just feel anything over like I can handle a little bit of stress, but as soon as it's like the next level of stress, if that makes sense, like I can't handle it. I'm not handling it well anyway. I'm really trying to work through that because it has impacted our homeschool a little bit. We did have quite a hard day one day, and I'm really trying to like give myself the time that I need to rest and not push myself too hard, because that tends to be when I, like I said, don't handle the stress quite as well. Yeah, I feel like I've been updating you guys, kind of saying that it's gone well. I would say that it's still going well. I am really thankful, like I said, for this baby. I can't believe that I'm gonna be meeting him in about 6 weeks or so. I am just about to start like prepping a little space for him, so maybe I can share that in a vlog. I just ordered a little dresser to put his clothes in, and I'm gonna order a little rocking chair to put in our room so that we have a little space and have a bassinet that he can sleep in and all of that. So it feels really surreal to be at this point, because it's just crazy. It's just like we're almost there. So I feel like that's kind of all I have. It's just getting to that point where I'm uncomfortable. There are certain days where I'm really tired. So I'm trying to not push myself too much, and yeah, that's basically my update. I hope that this video was encouraging to you. I'd love to hear how you guys are doing. How is your homeschool going? When do you plan on stopping? Do you also homeschool into May, or do you go into June? I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you for watching again. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next one.